Have you ever wondered why certain things that seem so simple for others feel nearly impossible for you? Maybe it's keeping track of time, maybe it's finishing what you started, or maybe it's just sitting still when you need to. This isn't just about ADHD, it's about a storm that many of us live in. A storm that might have appeared in childhood, but believe me, for many of us, never really left. In this video, we're going to dive deep into these struggles, what they really are, how they show up in our daily life, and how understanding them can make all the difference. Stick around, because this isn't just a story about ADHD, it's a story about gaining control, finding clarity, and learning to navigate the storm. Whether ADHD is part of your life or not, there is something here for everyone. Meet Chris. Chris could be any kid. In fact, you probably knew a few Chris's growing up, or maybe you were Chris yourself. He's that kid with boundless energy, like someone slipped a double espresso in his juice box every single morning. You know the type. He's the one who always seemed to be fidgeting, always on the move, always with his head somewhere else. Okay, I want you to imagine Chris in the classroom. He's supposed to be paying attention, but instead, he's bouncing his knee under the desk and his eyes drifting to the window, just daydreaming about being a superhero, a race car driver, or literally anything but the math lesson in front of him. He's pretty famous with his teachers. They all call him Chris, focus! But his focus is already zoomed away. He's onto something else a while ago. In my class, when we were young, we were about maybe 25 kids. And believe me when I say that between 18 and 22 kids were all Chris's. I can't imagine what the teacher's life must have been. Chris often makes careless mistakes in his homework. Not because he doesn't care, he really does. It's just because his mind moves so fast that details slip through his fingers like sand. He starts his projects with all the enthusiasm and passion in the world. But halfway through, something else will grab his attention and he's off to the races with a new idea. Does that sound familiar? And this is not just in school. Picture Chris at home. For example, trying to help his mom bake cookies. He's excited, bouncing around in the kitchen, but then he forgets to add the flour because, well, he got distracted looking at how oval the egg was. These behaviors in childhood, they're often mistaken for carelessness or just being a difficult kid. But the truth is, there's a lot more going on. All right, let's pause for a second. If any of this sounds even a little bit familiar, let me know in the comments. Look, we're in this together, and your support is as relevant as the content you're watching. Okay, let's go back to Chris. We said that his teachers often said that he's not paying attention, but what they don't realize is that Chris was paying attention, just not to the lesson. He was paying attention to the rhythm of the clock ticking, to the shadows dancing on the wall, or even to the thoughts racing in his mind. His mind was really a storm, and staying focused was so challenging. It was like, I don't know, trying to catch a mosquito with a fishing net. Okay, let's fast forward to today, and Chris is all grown up. The classroom has turned into a workplace, and that espresso spiked juice box is now just a normal cup of coffee. But what about the storm inside? Picture Chris in a meeting. He's trying his best to focus on the presentation, right? But his mind is just still bouncing around like a ping pong ball. That same kid, that same poor kid who couldn't sit still in class, is now fighting to keep his mind from wandering. He wants to pay attention, he really does. But the world inside his head is just so much more entertaining than that boring bar graph on the screen. Now, adult Chris, regardless of all these struggles, is really great at coming up with new ideas. He's the one in the office who's always pitching something creative, something different. But when it comes to following through, that's where it gets a little tricky. He makes lists, but those lists will get buried somewhere. He starts projects, but they lose their spark as soon as something new and shiny comes along. And he's exhausted, not physically, but mentally. Chris doesn't like this. He feels like he's always letting himself down, even though he's trying so hard to keep up. What about outside of the workplace? Well, it's not really that different because Chris still finds himself zoning out during conversations and then snapping back up with no idea what was just said. He wants to be present, but it feels like he's constantly swimming against the current. For Chris, and for so many other people with these struggles, adulthood doesn't magically make the symptoms disappear. They evolve, they adapt, and often they get harder to deal with and even harder to notice. And what comes with adulthood? Responsibility, expectations, work, bills, and relationships. Far from calling anyone with these struggles broken, the real purpose of this video is to help you see and help you clearly spot these struggles. That way you can start making changes. If we don't understand what's happening, the symptoms can feel like they're just running our lives and we're on some sort of autopilot. But I always believe that knowledge brings power. And when you finally understand what's going on, that's when you can take the wheel. These symptoms are just bumps in the road. Problem is, they can grow into hills and mountains if you leave them unchecked. However, with the right tools, you can hammer them back down and finally take control. When we see these struggles with what they really are, we gain clarity. We start to see that, yeah, maybe Chris struggles with staying focused in meetings, but he's pretty creative. He's resilient. He's been fighting this fight since he was a kid, and he's still here, still pushing forward. And that's something to be proud of. That's something you should be proud of. The real cool thing about having clarity is that we can start putting systems in place, small routines and other habits and tools that will help you keep the storm in check. We can learn to work with our unique challenges, not against them. And that's where the real power lies. We're coming to the end of this video, and in my next video, I will talk about the tools that Chris and you can use to beat down these bumps. Tools that will actually help you keep that storm in check and make your life a little smoother. Because the challenge is not about changing who we are. It's about making sure that we're living the best life we can with the storms and everything. In the meantime, you can check out a playlist of small videos where I share quick, powerful tips to help you manage these struggles day to day. And remember, you don't have to face these challenges alone. Together, we will understand them, tackle them, and live our best lives. Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button so you can receive the rest of the videos, share this video with anyone you think might need it, and let's keep building this community. We're all in this storm together, and together, we're unstoppable. That's it.